News at 6 starts right now.
The countdown to midterm elections, what is up for grabs in Congress, and the local races we are watching as we get closer to November 8th.
Plus, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School District releases its findings after a student went missing from school earlier this week. What they plan to do to make sure this never happens again.
And a one-on-one with the superintendent of the largest school district in the Triad, with Dr. Whitney Oakley, hopes to accomplish in her first year. In Commitment 2022, tomorrow marks 1 month until Election Day.
November 8th will determine which party controls Congress for the second half of President Biden's current term. Democrats control both the House and the Senate right now. It is possible that Republicans could pick up one or potentially both chambers, or neither. This is what the current balance of power looks like in the U.S. House. Republicans need to pick up a total of just 5 out of the 435 in the House to grab the majority. Here's the balance of power in the Senate. It's even closer. Republicans, I should say, need just 1 out of the 35 open seats to flip it. And one race that could play a role in determining whether Democrats maintain their majority in that chamber is the soon-to-be open seat in the U.S. Senate here in North Carolina.
Republican Ted Budd is facing Democrat Cheri Beasley to replace retiring U.S. Senator Richard Burr. Beasley has outraised and spent Budd by millions, but the most recent online survey by WRAL News shows 43% of likely voters favor Budd, while 42% prefer Beasley. And tonight, we will get a chance to see where both candidates stand on key issues. They will face off in a debate tonight on Spectrum News 1. It begins at 8 o'clock.
And a closely watched race in the House is the one to replace Mr. Budd. The 13th Congressional District is located south of Raleigh. Democratic candidate Wiley Nickel, a state senator, is going up against political newcomer, 27-year-old Republican candidate Bo Hines. Hines has the endorsement of former President Donald Trump. Nickel is backed by Democratic House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer.
And another race to watch is the 11th Congressional District to replace controversial Republican Representative Madison Cawthorn. Cawthorn lost his primary to Republican Chuck Edwards in May. Democratic nominee Jasmine Beach Ferreira is running against Edwards. And we have put together a North Carolina voter guide to make things easier for you. All you have to do is pull out your phone, scan this QR code, then click on the link that pops up, and it will take you right to the voter guide. It includes important dates, how to find your polling place, and facts about the election.
A Guilford County Sheriff's deputy has been fired tonight after being charged with sexual exploitation of a minor. In a release, the sheriff's office says Deputy Stephen Surratt was terminated today. He was arrested in mid-September after 3 separate arrest warrants in Davidson County. The alleged incidents happened back in December of last year. Surratt is charged with 8 counts total of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. In Winston-Salem, a 16-year-old is being charged with murder in connection with a deadly shooting nearly 2 months ago. Ashley Hartwell was the victim here, found shot on 17th Street back on the 22nd of August. She died a few days later. Investigators say the victim and the suspect did know each other, but they did not specify how.
Happening now, friends and family are gathering to remember a woman who was murdered in Mocksville. A candlelight vigil for Kentia Miller is being held at Quarry Park in Winston-Salem. Deputies believe she was killed by 78-year-old Harold Reed Jr. Monday morning. Investigators say Reed was due in court that day on child sex crime charges, and that he was at the complex to stop a person from participating in that case. They believe he mistook Miller for that witness when he shot her.
The Winston-Salem Forsyth County School District is making some changes after a student went missing for a few hours earlier this week. The 7-year-old boy seen here, who is nonverbal, wandered away from the playground at Hall Woodward Elementary School. He was fine. They found him a few hours later in woods. Police found him. The district investigation found that a fence around the playground would help in securing that area. The Board of Education will consider funding for that fence, and if it's approved, they'll start putting it up as soon as possible. The district went on to say that staff will be retrained on safety plans and supervision protocol, particularly when it comes to special needs students.
I had a long conversation with the new superintendent of Guilford County Schools today. Dr. Whitney Oakley talked about what she would like to accomplish her first year on the job and about meeting the needs of every child in the school system, including those with special needs. What would be a win for you in this first year? Like, what do you really want to accomplish?
You know, I think we have a lot of work left to do in this academic recovery piece and in staff and student mental health. And so, you know, I hope that our continued academic efforts continue to pay off. It's going to take a long time to come up with the learning loss that we have. The New York Times just released a report that said as our nation as a whole has lost 2 decades of academic progress. So a win for me would be expansion of tutoring, making sure that all students have access to the right kind of academic efforts. Also that people feel like we're listening to them, and so that this communication back and forth in this challenging time across our country is something that we're deeply committed to.
Children with special needs. You know, we saw something happen just earlier this week in Forsyth County schools with a child who went missing for a couple of hours. How do you address the needs of those children to keep them safe as well?
Special education students are general education students first, right? And so we can't just look at pockets of students. What we can do is look at what their needs are. And all students come to us with a wide range of needs. And so I think, again, you know, you can't have a plan for every situation that might happen with an individual kid, but what you can do is make sure that the adults know how to form the relationships, that we have safety plans in place, that we have clear communication back and forth with our principals when an issue arises. It's a challenging time to lead in any sector, but I think social media, gun violence, there's just this reality, right? And what it's going to require us to do is to be honest, to ask questions, and to, again, have those relationships established on the front end. That is the best preventative measure we have.
And she also had some encouragement for the teachers of tomorrow, saying that there is no job more important and that the lifelong impact you have on a child's life is the best part of being an educator.
All right, let's talk about the weather now. Meteorologist Dave Aiken is in for us on this Friday, and we've been in for above warm temperatures here today, but we've got some big swings coming, don't we?
Yeah, we do, Kenny. We're going to see a little bit more fall-like temperatures return to the Piedmont after a pretty warm day today. You're right about that. We got close to 80 in some spots. Still nice out there at this hour. Taking a look out over the Carolina Classic Fair, Winston-Salem, and you can see a few high clouds starting to build in there, but still a great evening to go out and enjoy the fair or football game, whichever the case may be. Temperatures at the moment have fallen off a little bit into the mid-70s just about everywhere, and a bit of a breeze out there out of the west, 5-10 miles per hour up in the mountains. Not bad there either. Temperatures into the mid-60s for the most part, 59 atop Beech Mountain right now. We got to a high of 78 earlier this afternoon, a few degrees above normal. Again, some of the communities across the region got to about 79 or even 80 down around Davidson County earlier today. It'll be the last day we see above normal temperatures. You see some of these clouds streaming up over the Carolinas right now, a front back out to our west. We'll discuss more about that in a little while. Notice all the purple back off to our north and west. Those are some freeze watches and warnings back out over the Midwest they'll have to deal with tonight and tomorrow night too. We'll discuss that in just a little while as well. If you are headed out to the fair, football game, whatever the case may be, into the 70s as we get on into about 7 o'clock, and then by 9 o'clock we'll be dry and mild in temperatures into the mid-60s. Well, we've got some cooler days and a very cold night ahead. In fact, the mountains coming up Saturday night might see temperatures below freezing. We'll discuss that coming up in just a little while.
All right, thank you, Dave. It's been a little more than a week now since Hurricane Ian first impacted the United States. Recovery efforts are still ongoing, particularly in hard-hit areas like Florida. WXI 12's Joshua Davis caught up with Samaritan's Purse volunteers who are still aiding in recovery efforts.
Boone Bay Samaritan's Purse tells us in the week since Hurricane Ian hit Florida, the most important thing they've seen has been the generosity of volunteers in helping impacted people recover. Samaritan's Purse volunteers are currently in southwest Florida. They're currently cleaning up damage and debris left behind by Hurricane Ian. Volunteers say the damage ranges from flooded homes to downed trees. They also tell us people in Florida are frustrated. They're ready to have electricity back and access to running water. And the work they're doing is an important step to help people rebuild.
They share stories of homeowners that, you know, are just had no idea. They were hopeless with a yard full of debris and a roof that was leaking, had no idea what to do. And a group of people in orange shirts show up and they clean up that debris, rake that yard, and put a tarp on that roof. And they feel like they're at least one step closer to the recovery process.
Samaritan's Purse say they remain committed in getting people back on their feet, and they don't plan to leave Florida anytime soon. Joshua Davis, WXII 12 News.
Thanks, Joshua. A local barbecue restaurant is doing its part to help victims of Hurricane Ian as well. Tar Heel Q down in Lexington is teaming up with the Mission Air Ministry. They're going to have a truck at the restaurant until 7 o'clock tonight for people to fill with donations, non-perishable food, toiletries, things like that.
You know, not all of us can get in a big truck and drive all the way to Florida. Not all of us can fly airplanes, but if we'll all pitch in a hand together, whether it's $1, $5, or bring in a bottle of water, or a box of Pampers, for example, even pet food we've gotten recently, which is a great idea. We can all come together as a team and make this thing happen and really save lives.
Anyone who donates will be entered into a drawing for a chance to win a gift card to that restaurant.
Your water is safe to drink again. Reedsville residents no longer need to boil their water before using it. City officials have lifted the boil water advisory after samples collected yesterday showed no signs of contamination. The advisory was put into effect because of repairs due to a broken water main on Scale Street.
Well, the Carolina Classic Fair in Winston-Salem is winding down. Less than 3 days to go. This is the first and only Friday. We'll check in with vendors and fair leaders